Hi. So I'm about to tell you an absolutely 100% true story. I didn't make it up. It all happened. When you were a kid, did you have a dream? A dream that didn't necessarily correspond with reality, but something that you, deep inside of you, wanted to be? An astronaut, a fireman, a cowboy, a ballerina. Maybe like me, you had lots of dreams. When you were done being a cowboy, you would be something else. When you were done being that something else, you would be something else. But my dream, among others, was playing cocktail piano. You know what cocktail piano is? I saw myself sitting on the top of a piano, sequin dress, stockings showing through, slit up to the Yeah, that's how I saw myself. I was a kid. Cigarette dangling from my head. Microphone. A cigarette that bears a lipstick's traces. I used to actually sing on key. Well, my dream, I grew up and became a mom, a secretary, a good neighbor, and a woman who took great pleasure in learning how to make homemade pasta. Isn't that everybody's dream? It was mine. Let's just say that cocktail piano, in dim lights, wearing a sequin dress, got buried under the more critical and immediate things of my life. But I always had a piano. And I always remembered that picture of me sitting on top of the piano. I didn't play the music that I had been taught. I had been taught how to play the piano when I was in kindergarten. The nuns taught me. But they didn't really teach me how to play the piano. They taught me how to read music. There's a difference. And they taught me how to read the music that was written by Handel, Liszt, Grieg, maybe some Mozart. But it wasn't written by Gershwin or Copland or, those other guys. So I needed music. I needed the sheet music to actually play the music and the songs that I had in my heart. And those were the songs that my parents sang. When you think about it, as you're growing up, the music that you listen to is the music that you're from your parents' generation. So which is, from this point on, it is 100 years ago. What happened to my script? Oh dear, that's terrible. Does anybody remember the old Chicago music store? I've been in Tucson long enough to remember the mural on the side of the wall. I used to go into that music store and buy sheet music so I could have my music at home when I wanted to play the Gershwin songs that I wanted or the Cole Porter songs that I wanted to hear. That store was something. It reminded me, I often thought to myself, old Chicago, it must have been really some old Chicago in Chicago that it was named after, because it was old. When you walked in, it was probably a floor, in my mind, it was a floor about this big, a room about this big that was just full of tables. Anybody been there? Okay, remember it, tables, boxes on the tables, and inside the boxes was music, sheets of music, and signs that said, the music is arranged alphabetically. Well, the music was arranged by whatever name, if the letter is the same on the name of the song as the song, other songs in there, throw it in the box. But that just shows you I was a legal secretary and they were musicians, and musicians don't know how to alphabetize. I'm 60 years old. In fact, it's my 60th birthday. My brother calls. He knew it was my 60th birthday for one reason, because he's 10 years younger than me, and his birthday is like 3 days after mine. So, hey, Mel, it's your birthday. Let's go out. What's your favorite restaurant? I'm coming over from California to take you out for your birthday. Well, I call a cab. We make reservations. No Uber in those days. We get to Kingfisher, my favorite restaurant. We order oysters Rockefeller, which they still serve today. Champagne. He flirts with the waitress. I flirt with the bartender. We have a great time. And we're sitting there having this great time, and I notice there's a piano in the lobby. An old black piano. Can't you just see? Screaming for somebody to be sitting on top of it. Well, I tell my brother the story about me always wanting to be a cocktail, sit on the piano and play cocktail piano and sing music and have the skirt and all that. And he says, well, go play the piano. It's your birthday. I said, I can't go play that piano. He says, yes, you can. I'll ask the manager if you can play. You go play it. So he leaves, and I head over to the piano, and by golly, if I don't sit down and play the piano. And I'm telling you, the minute I started playing, the dining room like quieted down. It was the coolest thing. I played the songs that I had been buying the sheet music for from the old Chicago music store. Some of them I remembered, and they're the ones I played. It was exciting, it was romantic, it was sexy, it was everything I thought it would be. I even got a tip. So I go back to the bar, and where my brother was sitting is empty. He's not there anymore. But the guy from a couple of bar seats down slides on over. Yeah. What is this? It must be really dark in here. Because I'm 60 and this guy looks like he's 30. And he says, leans over and he says, nice piano. Been playing long? Is this a line? Is this a new line? I am practically speechless. I'm not always speechless. And I am pretty much a smart ass. And I said, been playing here long? About 20 minutes. Well, he says, I'm Steve. I own a restaurant here in Tucson. And I'm looking for a piano player. I don't believe him. I'd rather believe that he's flirting with me. Darn it. He reaches in his pocket, pulls out a business card, and sure enough, it says Steve Schultz, owner, chef, Red Sky Cafe. Some of you may remember Red Sky Cafe. It was catty corner from St. Cyril's Church on the corner of Pima and Swan. You had to go around the back to get in it. You might have been little kids when I was playing the piano there. Well, I call him the next day. I think about it overnight and I call him. Remember me? He remembered me. Well, I gotta tell you something about playing the piano in your restaurant. First of all, I can't play by ear, which means I can't take requests unless I have the music. I have to have the music. I'm not professional. I've never played professionally at all. I played for a few funeral masses when I was in 8th grade. I don't know if that counts. I play old songs, and I don't have a piano. Well, first of all, he doesn't care I don't care whether you have the music or not. I heard you play. Second of all, I don't care if you play old songs or new songs. My customers are your age. They want to hear the old songs. Third of all, go and rent a piano. By golly, we make a deal, and I ended up working for Steve for 2 years. He was the nicest guy. The nicest guy. Thank God for the old Chicago music store, I'll tell you, because I kept shopping there. One of the nice things that Steve did, I mean, I'm not in the business, and I didn't have any other gigs. I've never played the piano anywhere else again. But I suspect that people who are in the restaurant business aren't necessarily all as wonderful as Steve would be when on Saturday night the last customer left and Steve went in the back and got his $400 bottle of wine and came out and poured us each a glass and sat down and said, let's talk. I don't think that happens in restaurants a lot, but it happened in my gig in the restaurant. That restaurant has eventually closed, of course, and it has reemerged as the Wild Garlic. Steve owns the Wild Garlic up on Sunrise and Swan. So that restaurant's closed. He's reinvented himself. In a Marie Kondo moment, I gave away all my music at a yard sale. It was just, but that's my true story of the butterfly effect. It started when I was in kindergarten and the nuns were teaching me how to read music. Ina Garten has written a book lately. It's called Be Ready When the Luck Happens. Maybe some of you have heard of it. I just finished reading it with that. But I'm telling you something. For me, I would change the title. Be ready when the dream happens. You never know when somebody's going to slide across the aisle, the empty seats, and say to you, nice piano, been playing.